Welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben and I'm reviewing Love in the Villa. Having recently come back from 2 weeks in Venice, I can probably say that I gave this film more than it deserved. Kind of know what you're getting into this film. Should you be watching it? Let's discuss. A young woman takes a trip to romantic Verona, Italy after a breakup, only to find that the villa that she reserved was double booked, and starring Tom Hopper and Kat Graham. You'll know Kat Graham from The Vampire Diaries for many years, and Tom Hopper most recently probably have seen as Hargraves in The Umbrella Academy. I actually really like Tom Hopper. He's the main reason I jumped myself into watching this and thought, you know what, I'm in a bit of a romantic mood and I can give Tom Hopper a chance. I'm not a huge fan of Kat Graham just because I just haven't watched most of her work. I've listened to some of it as she has recently been April O'Neil in one of the Turtles animated series. Putting that all aside, was this film any good? Yeah, kinda. The first two halves, or the first two acts of this film are cliche upon cliche. Every single thing that happens in this movie, you can guess. Plot device upon plot device upon cheesy, cringy dialogue, you get it. However, it does feel like it's well filmed. It's better crafted than a cheesy romantic Hallmark film, but not by much. The thing that stands it apart from those is the ending. I wasn't expecting it to go one route at the end, which makes it a little bit refreshing until it does. It's that classic story. Girl loses boy, girl goes on holiday without boy, girl meets boy and girl fight, you know, the two protagonists until they end up liking each other, but then they have to decide who they're going to choose at the end of the day. I mean, you've seen this film done 100 times. Now, the location really helps, and I'll chuck up a couple of images of my recent romantic family holiday, a mix of both that we went on, and it is exactly what it says on the tin. It is romantic. It is also crazy busy. Everything you see in this film feels authentic and accurate, and sometimes you can look at places and movies like this and be like, is it really like that though? Yeah, it is. You have the really busy places, the people just taking ridiculous amount of, you know, shots. They want to remember it all, but rather than remember it all, they taking photographs of it. At the same time, the vistas and the spaces, the scenery, the architecture, the culture, all of that comes into Italy is right on screen, and it is actually like that. So I think they got the atmosphere and the setting right. And if you come from a place which I often have come from in the past going, yeah, but I bet it's not like that, that's just movie making, it actually is like that, which I was surprised by. And there's this line of dialogue saying, always eat where the locals eat, and we learned that in Venice, like 100%. We ate at expensive restaurants and the food was always crap, like I mean literally just not great, and then we ate where the locals ate and the food was immaculate. And so that does feel like they did a little bit of research and made it authentic as possible to make those moments as genuine as possible as you do in a romantic rom-com, which sets up all the pieces that have to happen in order for this film to happen, for those characters to move along the plot with those romantic devices to work. You have to put your believability aside. There are so many moments in this you'd be like, that would never happen. Actually, some of their playfulness with each other can almost kill each other. There's one moment or a couple of moments where the guy is allergic to cats. He's so allergic he kind of comes out in hives, and that's funny. I know people that have died from allergic reaction, and I definitely know directly in my life that almost died from allergic reaction to things. So there were things like that. I was just like, I don't know that that's quite right, but for the funny, for the romantic bit, for the Hollywoodness of it, you kind of have to give it its due and go, okay, that's what you're doing with the film. I think the dialogue is exactly what you expect it to be, but our two main protagonists play their characters well. They do great with what they've been given. I think it's definitely one of those rom-com films that you can eat while having dinner, put in the background, not pay too much attention to, occasionally hear the line of dialogue going, oh, that's funny, or that's cute, with your partner of any kind, or if you're just in a romantic mood and you're by yourself and you're just, you know, having a glass of wine or a beer, and you're like, yeah, I'm in the romantic mood, but I don't really want to have to think. This is definitely that film. You don't have to think. Now, occasionally I give these films higher ranking than other films, but you've got to understand that every film has its own genre. In the genre of romantic films, from the best rom-coms ever like Notting Hill to some of the worst Hallmark films and a cornucopia on Netflix. That's how I've got to rank it. I've got to put it in that. I think it's slightly better than Midway, like 2.5. I'm going to give it 2 3/4 out of 5 Nicolas Cages.
Well then fine! If that's what you want, then let's have it out right now!
I don't think I'm being that hard or easy on it. I think I've been as accurate as I can, but I might be giving it a few little points, maybe a half a point or a quarter of a point, because I've been in Venice recently and I really love the aesthetically pleasing vistas and shots that there are in that. That was the most authentic thing about the film. The story was seen it a million times. What is the best cheesy romantic film that you can think of? One that's, isn't great, but you kind of love to stick on? Love to hear your comments down below. If you want to support this channel more, have a look at the thanks or our Patreon or our weekly podcast that we do with Movies and Munchies, a cornucopia of content.